Okay, Ollie members, we're going to get started. I'm going to first introduce Mariana Chamishyan, who has been basically the driving force behind the Meet the Artist series, and she's going to tell you more about it. Thank you.
Thanks, Meg. Hello, everyone. My name is Marina Chamashyan, and I help to coordinate the artist series for Ollie. And thank you for joining us here in Zoom. You know, we find ourselves in these unusual times, and unusual times ask for unusual solutions. So here we are having our first virtual Meet the Artist. And welcome. We are honored to have Dr. Linda Apple Monson host a webinar for Ollie Meet the Artist today. Dr. Linda Apple Monson is an international Steinway artist. She serves as a director for the School of Music in the College of Visual and Performing Arts at George Mason University, where she's a University Distinguished Service Professor. Dr. Monson has performed and lectured throughout the world, and today she will have her wonderful students join us here. Please welcome Dr. Linda Apple Monson.
Thank you. Thank you. And welcome to all of our Ollie friends. Welcome to our George Mason University colleagues, our students. Welcome to all of you who are joining us from many different parts of the world to hear this wonderful sampling today of fantastic solo piano performances. I'm so proud of each and every one of the young artists you're about to hear today. And I'm hoping that the repertoire you will hear will serve as a means of inspiration to each of you as you now are having the opportunity to hear live music and pre-recorded music from students that are currently with us here at George Mason University. Each of these pianists is pursuing a degree with us. Some are in the bachelor's program, some are in the master's program, and a number of these are Doctor of Musical Arts students. Each one is a fabulous young artist, and I'm so delighted we can feature them today. I do want to thank Ollie, Osher Lifelong Learning Institute, for providing this opportunity for this virtual performance to occur. I especially want to thank Jennifer DeSano, Executive Director of Ollie, for this invitation. And of course, I want to thank Marina, our fabulous host, for making this possible for us today. I also want to take a moment to thank a very special family who is very near and dear to our hearts, and they are watching this performance today. Many of you have seen the recent announcement that we are now the Dewberry School of Music. We are the Reva and Sid Dewberry Family School of Music. We are so honored, so grateful for this distinction. And I know that Sid, Reva, Karen, perhaps Barry are watching this performance today. And I just want to say on behalf of our entire School of Music, our faculty, our staff, our Ollie friends, from all of us to you, a very, very heartfelt thank you for this honor, for this distinction. And the music goes especially out to you all today. So it now gives me great pleasure to welcome our first performer of the hour. And I want to share just a little bit about this awesome pianist you're about to hear. Her name is Megan Slay, and Megan is in the first year of our Master of Piano Performance degree at Mason. Megan did her bachelor's degree at Virginia Commonwealth University, a sister institution here in our great Commonwealth of Virginia. Megan is a Richmond native, and she will be telling you about the fantastic Scarlatti sonata that she is about to perform. So please welcome our first performer, Megan Slay.
Good afternoon, everyone. The piece I'll perform is by Italian Baroque composer Domenico Scarlatti. He was born in 1685, the same year as Johann Sebastian Bach, and he was a very prolific composer. As in Scarlatti, he wrote 555 sonatas, and that is an enormous amount of sonatas. This particular one is in D minor, K141, and it has some toccata-like elements, such as repeated notes, that are meant to imitate a mandolin or a guitar. And though Scarlatti was an Italian Baroque composer, it is said that he was influenced by trips to Spain, where he was exposed to some early forms of the guitar and Andalusian or Arabic harmonies. So he might have had Spanish influence in mind when composing this particular piece, especially when you hear some of the harmonies sound modal, like Moorish or Spanish in sound. And a favorite quote I want to share for you is, he asked the musician and listener to seek not profundity in the music, but rather artistic ingenuity and delight. So I hope you too will find delight and enjoy. Thank you.
Beautiful performance, Megan. Thank you for that gorgeous Scarlatti. So appreciate. I'd now like to introduce our second performer of the hour. And this is Estrella Sejin Zhang. Just to tell you a little about this extraordinary young artist, Estrella combines two worlds, a world of biochemistry and a world of piano performance. Estrella grew up in Seoul, South Korea, moved to Buenos Aires as a young child with her family, studied at the Buenos Aires Conservatory of Music. Excuse me. She also, throughout her life, had this dual passion of both science and music. And so she decided to go into biochemistry, did degrees in biochemistry, was then invited to Harvard, studied and researched at Harvard for a number of years, developed 3 or 4 patents along the way, distinguished herself as an awesome biochemist. But all of this time, her heart, her soul was also the heart and soul of an artist. And she decided to come to George Mason University to pursue this passion wholeheartedly. She did a master's degree with us. I've been privileged to work with Estrella for a number of years. She is now finishing up the Doctor of Musical Arts degree, has a fabulous research topic for her dissertation that again involves combining the worlds of science, math, and music. Very, very proud of this artist and scholar, and I will now ask Estrella to introduce another wonderful Baroque composer to you. Over to you, Estrella.
Hi, everyone. The music that you are about to hear is the Sonata number 88 in D flat major by Padre Antonio Soler. As Dr. Monson said, he's a Baroque composer from Spain. He wrote numerous sonatas that are very similar to the Italian sonatas of Domenico Scarlatti that you are here from our previous performer. Usually his sonata are in one movement and in binary form. But you can use the traditional classical sonata section to identify the exposition of very short development where extravagant modulation happen, which means there's a change of key, and recapitulation. Padre Antonio Soler, in his music, there's a lot of Spanish flavor. The dance, where he used the duplet, 2 equal notes in a bit, or 3 notes on a bit, that is written in 3 meter, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. And also he emphasized on the weak beat, like in the dance of Zapateado, which is the tap dance. in his music also, you can see that he imitates the sound of Spanish guitar, the bandurrias, which is the Spanish mandolin, and the castanets. I particularly like this piece because it's lively, and the flow is also very similar to the previous sonata that you heard, with the triplets and repeating notes, which makes really fun to play, and it's really fast, short piece. I hope you can enjoy this next piece of Baroque. Thank you.
As this is happening, as we are waiting for the performance to resume in a moment, perhaps I can just take a moment to share a little what it's like to be studying music remotely during this time of social isolation and social distancing, during this time of COVID-19. At Mason, we are continuing to go full steam ahead with the training, with the learning, with the classes, with performances, etc. We've had to be creative in how we make all of these things work. It's particularly challenging in the performance arena to be able to move forward and so we have new ways of doing it. And Meg, please let me know when this is on, or just cut me off. But what we're trying to do today is to combine performances that we either have pre-recorded just a week or so ago, or performances that we did before COVID-19 hit this part of the country and before we had to shut down. And so it's a combination of having our students in their respective apartments or dorm rooms or homes, wherever they are right now, in the States or in other parts of the country, wherever they are at this moment, sharing with us in a live format a little about the piece, but then using a work that was recorded at Mason shortly before before the campus was shut down, when we still had the venues of our concert hall and the live audience there. So we're trying to make all of this work, and I apologize that there's a little bit of a technical glitch at the moment, but I ask for your patience. The moments of music are well worth your waiting. It's really, really beautiful music that is happening. Thank you so much, Estrella, for that delightful and exciting performance of Padre Antonio Soler. And now we are going to move to another wonderful artist scholar, also a student in our Doctor of Musical Arts program at George Mason University, who I'm very privileged to teach. I'd like to share a little about Jinhee Im. Jinhee Im, our next performer, is a native of South Korea, and she graduated from Jinhee University in Seoul with a Bachelor of Music degree. And then she continued her piano studies in Europe. She received her master's degree in music from the Staatliche Hochschule für Musik in Stuttgart, Germany. And then she received a performance graduate certificate in piano from the Conservatoire de Strasbourg, France. She then decided to come to George Mason University to pursue the Doctor of Musical Arts degree. And I'm very, very privileged to have her in my studio at Mason. She is a winner of multiple competitions, and she also is a fluent speaker in 4 languages: Korean, German, French, and English. And so I will now have Jinhee tell us a little about this wonderful contemporary composer, Shchedrin, that she's about to perform. Over to you, Jinhee.
Hi, my name is Jinhee. Today I'm going to introduce to you Basso Ostinato by Rodion Shchedrin, which is my favorite piece. Shchedrin composed Basso Ostinato in 1961 and is the second piece in 2 polyphonic pieces. This Basso Ostinato is very meaningful for me because his music escapes all categories with charm, irony, and its playful and experimental handling of traditions. In this piece, we can notice that the left hand has a percussion field. As you may know, Basso Ostinato means a motif or a phrase that repeats in the same musical voice on bass line. So the left hand entrusts repeated octave voice, and right hand is like an orchestra since different parts cross their register on the piano. I hope you enjoy. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Jinhee, for that beautiful performance of Shchedrin. And now we're going to be moving to a composer that I think many of you know and love very much, and that's the composer Johannes Brahms. And our first performer who will be introducing Brahms' work is Xinyu Zhang. And Xinyu is a marvelous pianist who is coming to us from China. Xinyu is a native of China, and she completed her Bachelor of Music in Piano Performance at the Jinhee Conservatory of Music. She then came to the United States and did a master's degree at New York University, Fredonia. And after receiving the master's degree, she then went back to China and has been an assistant professor of piano there in China, but decided she really, really wanted to pursue doctoral studies. She chose to come to George Mason University. I'm so thrilled to have her in my piano studio at Mason. Jinhee is a marvelous performer and an amazing teacher, and she's also teaching keyboard skills sections for us in Mason School of Music as well. So I'm going to have Jinhee introduce her beautiful work by Johannes Brahms. Over to you, Jinhee.
Good afternoon, honored online audiences. Today I'm so happy to introduce the piece. What I'm performing is the opening intermezzo from Opus 118 by Brahms. Brahms was a German composer of the Romantic period. The 6 pieces for a piano, Opus 118, is some of the most beloved works that he wrote for solo piano. It is representative of the composer's late period. In this short piece, you can hear the heartbreaking lyrical interruptions, restless harmonic change, and heavy melodic signs, which is quite stormy and passionate. I hope you enjoy. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Jinhee, for that beautiful performance. I'd just like to take a note to share. Jinhee has a recital coming up well, a little later this semester. And for all of you out there listening and wondering how do students manage to continue practicing how do we make things work when here we are in social isolation and students don't even necessarily have access to an instrument. I just want to say something about this last performer that you just heard, and I don't mean to embarrass you, but I'm just so proud of you and what you've done, Jinhee. Jinhee, one of our international students who, when the shutdown happened, had no access to a piano, no instrument. She was like our other students, had been used to practicing on campus using our beautiful Steinways that we have on campus. But when all of this has happened, where campus is now shut down, no access to instruments, meanwhile recitals coming up, all these things, Jinhee has been practicing on a paper keyboard. She learned and memorized all this music. I could not be prouder. She now has a digital keyboard that she is practicing on, and that has been helpful. But what I'm trying to say to you is our students are dedicated to the art of making music. They are dedicated to this tremendous artistic discipline for which we've been chosen. And so the music continues despite hardship, despite whatever circumstances are put into place. The music has a way of coming forth. The music has a way of bubbling up. And Jinhee is an example who made the music continue despite not even having an actual instrument to work on. One learns the music, one internalizes the music. You can memorize an entire program without even having the literal instrument in front of you if you are focused enough and dedicated enough. And that is what this young woman has done. And so on each one that you're hearing today has, I would say, overcome a great deal to be able to make the art of music and the art of piano performance continue to come forth. So I don't know about you, but for me, that just adds a whole extra layer of gratitude and just incredible respect and admiration for everyone. And what you're experiencing today is a microcosm of what we have at Mason. All of our Mason students are pursuing their instruments, whether the instrument is voice or whether the instrument is trombone, you name it. They're all dedicated to making this music come forward and studying in whatever way they can do at this time. And so for you, our audience, it's so great to be able to share music again and to have the literal joy of sound of these incredible masterpieces, or maybe little known gems that we're hoping will soon be a masterpiece in your own mind. But we are so thrilled to be able to share the music. It's thrilling for us on more levels than I can enumerate. So again, to each of our performers today, my heart is overflowing with gratitude and respect for what you are doing. I would like now to go to our next performer, and once again we will be hearing another work by Johannes Brahms. The next performer is Yeren Choi, and Yeren is a fabulous pianist. She is also one of our Doctor of Musical Arts students. I'm so proud of Yeren. She has also served as a teaching assistant in the piano area at Mason, and she also is teaching keyboard skills for us in our School of Music. Yeren is also a native of South Korea, and she studied at Ewha Women's University in Korea. It's been my privilege to also perform and give master classes at that wonderful institution. We have a number of students here at Mason currently from that really, really fine School of Music, and we're very glad that Yeren is one of the representatives of Ewha here. Yeren came to the United States and did a master's degree at University of Southern California, at the Thornton School of Music at USC, and then she chose to come to Mason to pursue her Doctor of Musical Arts degree. It has been an absolute thrill to have Yeren in my studio here at Mason. Yeren, would you please introduce the Brahms that you're about to perform?
Hello everyone. What I'll be playing today is Klavierstücke, which means piano pieces in English, Opus 118 by Johannes Brahms. This set has 6 movements, and Xinyu, the previous performer, just played the first one called Intermezzo. We'll be jumping to the 3rd movement called Ballade now. The ballad is an epic poem, and it is also a form of storytelling. So when I play this piece, I always try to make my own story and imagine the pictures of the story as well. In the form of ABA, A section starts with a vigorous and energetic gesture, showing thick chord progressions on both hands. This moving parallel 3rd and 6th is one of the famous characteristics of Brahms's composition. It is frequently demonstrated in this ballad. The contrasting B section has beautiful romantic phrases showing breathtaking moments, having tension and release on both on the chords. This piece ends representing the same theme as shown in the beginning. I hope you could have your own imagination and story while listening to this ballad. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Yaron, for that beautiful Brahms performance. So appreciate. I'd like to now introduce our next young artist, and that is Ga-young Lee. Ga-young is a very special pianist who just is graduating with her master's degree in piano performance from Mason. Ga-young also grew up in Seoul, South Korea. She did studies at the Catholic University of Seoul, or in Korea. She also studied at Ewha Women's University in Seoul, the same school as Yeren, whom you've heard a moment ago. Ga-young came to George Mason University for her Master of Piano Performance degree and has distinguished herself as an artist and scholar while here at Mason. She has also, she's the winner of numerous competitions, competitions that happened in St. Petersburg, Russia, and also in Glasgow, Scotland. And we're very, very happy that she chose to be at Mason for her master's degree. It's been a thrill to teach Ga-young here at Mason, and many of our singers here at Mason have had the great pleasure of working with Ga-young in the vocal studios. Ga-young has also worked with our singers in opera, and has the real heart and soul of a collaborative pianist who so loves to be able to work with others in the art of collaboration. And I'm very, very proud of the awesome work that Ga-young has done for us at Mason. I'd now like to have Ga-young introduce the wonderful work that she's about to perform for us. Over to you, Ga-young.
Hello, everyone. My name is Ga-young Lee. I am so glad to share our music with you all. The title I'm going to play is called Carnival. Carnival was composed by Robert Schumann. He is one of the most famous composers during the Romantic period. Schumann composed a lot of large piano works, and Carnival is one of his grand works. Carnival consists of 21 short pieces and lasts about 35 minutes long. But I'm going to play just a selected movement just for 5 minutes. It starts with the grand opening, and it is very lively and majestic. Also, there is one interesting factor, which is that the 21 pieces are connected by a recurring motif. What I mean is that Schumann used 4 notes, such as A, E flat, C, and B in every piece. Schumann is my favorite composer. Whenever I play his music, I feel healed and touched because his music is so beautiful and colorful. I hope you enjoy. Thank you.
Guy Young for that exquisite Schumann. Thank you so much. And now we are delighted to welcome our next performer, Ling Tring An. And Ling is a very, very special, fabulous pianist at Mason. Ling grew up in Vietnam, and she did her early training at the conservatory in Vietnam, and then came to the United States and did a bachelor's degree at St. Mary's College of Maryland, studying with Brian Gantz in Maryland. She then chose to come to Mason for her master's degree, and I've been very privileged to have Ling in my studio through the master's. And now she is in the doctoral program and is actually in her final semester of coursework before she will be starting her dissertation. And Ling has distinguished herself in many ways while she's been at Mason. She's a wonderful scholar as well as an artist, and she's currently teaching at the Mason Community Arts Academy. We're very proud of this wonderful program where we reach out to students in the community for lessons, for instruction, and Ling is one of the faculty in that marvelous program that we have for the Mason Community Arts. Ling also is a recipient of a very special scholarship that we have here at Mason. We have a Friends of Music organization, terrific group of people, volunteers who help us in the School of Music. They help us raise money for scholarships, help come to our events. If you'd like to become a Friend of Music at Mason, you let us know and we'll make sure that's possible. But what I wanted to tell you about Ling is that Ling is a recipient of the Ruth Jaxier Scholarship through the Friends of Music, and the Friends have adopted her as one of their own. And so Ling has been blessed in so many ways to have an adopted family here at Mason while she is far from her parents in Vietnam. And so now, may I turn this over to you, Ling, to introduce this amazing work by Bartók. Ling, please.
Thank you very much, Dr. Monson. Hello, everyone. I hope everyone is staying healthy and sane during this crazy time. Today, I will be presenting the second dance in the collection of two Romanian dances by the Hungarian composer Bartók. As a composer, pianist, and ethnomusicologist, he was one of the leading figures in Hungarian classical music alongside with Franz Liszt. He was also a leading figure in music education in Hungary with many writings and arrangements for young pianists and children. During his lifetime as a composer, he extensively collected and rearranged folk tunes, using them, I'm sorry, that's my cat, using them as an inspiration and thematic material in his compositions. As a person whose deep root is in Vietnam, I strongly share this view of his and strongly believe that to understand a culture, you have to understand the folk music. And so he wrote many pieces, base his thematic material in folk music. And these two Romanian dances, Opus 8A, were completed in 1910 and were among one of the first works by the composer with a strong sense of folk music. So if you're a fan of Bartók music, you may have known the first piece in this collection that was actually arranged for the orchestra, but you may not know of the second one. And it's actually a jeering song in the second volume of his Romanian folk music collection. And the theme sounds like this. And during this piece, you are going to hear this 3 times. So pay close attention, and I hope you can enjoy this.
for that exciting and riveting performance of Bartók. Thank you so much. And now it gives me great delight to introduce our next performer, Minnie Zhang. Minnie is another awesome pianist that's with us at Mason. Minnie grew up in China, and Minnie did her bachelor's degree at Shandong Normal University in China, then came to the US and did a master's degree at Temple University in Philadelphia, and chose George Mason University for her Doctor of Musical Arts degree. I've been thrilled to have the opportunity to work with Minnie here in my studio at Mason. And Minnie is not only a fantastic pianist, she's also a very, very gifted teacher. She is teaching keyboard skills classes for us at Mason, and some of our Mason students that are probably watching right now. I'm sure that all of you will vouch that Minnie Zhang is a very dedicated and wonderful, wonderful teacher. We're so delighted that you are sharing your gifts with us at Mason. Minnie also is working on a fantastic research topic for her dissertation at Mason. Her research deals with a contemporary Chinese composer, and she is doing an analysis of his piano music. So I would like to now introduce Minnie and have her share with you about the fabulous work she's about to perform. Over to you, Minnie.
Thank you so much, Dr. Monson. So good afternoon, everyone. I'm so happy to share one of my favorite pieces with you today. The piece you will be hearing next is called Desperate Measures, that's composed by Robert Muczynski. There is another name of this piece called Paganini Variation. The melody is from Paganini Caprice, Opus 24. I believe some of you may already know the term. Not only Robert Muczynski composed a piano piece based on this tune, but also some famous outstanding composer like Liszt, Brahms, they all composed a large-scale piano solo piece based on this melody. Talking about Robert Muczynski, he's an American composer and was born in Chicago in 1929. And he went to DePaul University for studying piano and composition. After graduating from DePaul University, he went to University of Arizona and served as a piano and composition professor there. And also he developed the compositional department at the University of Arizona. So there is a really interesting story behind the title, Desperate Measures. So in 1994, so Robert Muczynski was retired at home, and he was kind of like lost his direction of what he gonna compose next. And one day he was enjoy drinking with his friend at home. And he talked to his friend like, you know what, it may sound very silly idea, but ever since a student, I always want to compose a piano solo piece based on the Paganini Caprice. So I think I like to have a crack at it. So I must be very desperate. So that's how the title and the bond involved. So finally, I hope this piece makes you as joyful as it does to me. So please enjoy.
Thank you, Minnie, for that fantastic work. And now it gives me great pleasure to welcome our next performer, Luke Ratcliffe. And Luke hails from the incredibly wonderful Commonwealth of Virginia. So if you've been waiting for our state to be represented, well, here we are. And I'm so happy that Luke is with us at Mason. Luke is both a pianist and a composer, and he has distinguished himself as an artist scholar in so many ways. Luke had studied at the Juilliard School of Music in New York City and had distinguished himself greatly there, and decided to continue his studies at George Mason University. And he is currently in what we call the Bachelor's Accelerated Master's Program. And so it's a program we have at Mason where you can sort of fast track, and for those exceptional students who meet the qualifications of artistry and scholarship. And so Luke is in that category. He will be graduating with the bachelor's in May, and will be and is meanwhile doing graduate work, and will graduate with the master's the following May. So it's what we call our BAM program, Bachelor's Accelerated Masters. Luke has done so many awesome things musically during his time at Mason. Last season, some of you may have heard him perform the Grieg Piano Concerto with our Mason Symphony Orchestra under the direction of Dr. Dennis Leyendecker. Luke also performed with the McLean Symphony last season as well, under the direction of Dr. Igor Sarmientos, who's also a Mason alum as well. And Luke has had performances at Carnegie Hall, at the Kennedy Center, at the Banff Center, and many places. Has won various competitions and has just distinguished himself in so many ways as both an artist and a scholar. Luke is about to present a wonderful work, and I will have him introduce. Oh, I should say one other thing. Luke is the Ali Scholarship recipient, and I want to thank all of our Ali members who are joining us today for your support of our students. And I know that you all are aware we would have been having a beautiful scholarship award ceremony, but obviously things had to change due to COVID-19 and everything being canceled or postponed. But the work you're about to hear now, you would have been hearing live at the Ali Scholarship Banquet. So we're very proud and thankful to Ali members for their scholarship support for our students. And again, Luke is this year's lucky recipient of that award. Thank you. Luke, over to you.
Hi, everyone. Thank you for that wonderful introduction, Dr. Monson. It's nice to see we've got 110 people watching. Pretty amazing. So the performance that you're going to hear, this is from fall of 2019 during the Grand Piano celebration. I played the last of Frédéric Chopin's etudes. This is Opus 25, number 12. It's the last etude of the 24 that he wrote. The Opus 25 set was published in 1837, and it kind of brings the set full circle. So in the very first etude of Opus 10 is in C major, and the right hand begins with these extremely fast ascending and descending arpeggios, and you go through all 24 of them, and the last of the etudes is actually quite similar to the first one, but now you have both hands that are doing these arpeggios up and down the piano. The programmatic title that's often given to this etude is the title The Ocean, and you'll be able to hear why it's called that, given the textures and the kind of pathos that Chopin imbued in this piece. So really hope you enjoy.
you, Luke, for that fabulous performance of Chopin. Thank you. And now we are about to have our finale performance by Hakyan Kelly Park. And I know you will really, really love this, this last piece on today's program. I'd like to share a little about our final performer. Hakyan Kelly Park is pursuing her Doctor of Musical Arts degree at George Mason University. She also is a native of Seoul, Korea. She did a bachelor's at Yonsei University in Seoul. I've been privileged to be at that school as well as a guest lecturer. She came to the U.S. and did her master's degree in music at the Hart School of Music in Connecticut. And then she followed that up with an advanced performance certificate from New York University Steinhardt School of Music. And then she chose George Mason University to do the Doctor of Musical Arts degree. Some of you have heard her previously performing not only in solo recital, but she performed with the orchestra in Beethoven's Third Concerto with Dr. Leyendecker directing. I can't remember when, maybe 2 years ago, and since has been performing many venues, and again is the winner of various competitions. But we are so thrilled with the wonderful work that Hakyan has done while at Mason. And so I will now have her introduce this very exciting conclusion to today's musicale.
Hello everyone, my name is Hakyan Kelly Park, and I'm glad to see all of you virtually today. First of all, thank you so much for the support, Ollie. I deeply appreciate it. The piece I'll be performing is the Memphis Waltz No. 1 by Hungarian composer Franz Liszt. He composed this piece in the middle 19th century, and No. 1 is the best known of the four Memphis Waltz. It was also composed for the orchestra, so I hope you'll be able to imagine of the orchestra sound through my playing. Memphis Waltz is a typical example of program music, which was composed based on the story of Faust. If you know the Faust, this is not a typical waltz. You'll be listening to the Waltz of Devil. The story of this music begins with Faust and Mephistopheles arriving at a wedding ceremony. I personally interpret the beginning repeated notes as the crowd people at the wedding, and the first melody coming in as the violin sound. So like this, the entire piece is a story of Faust. So you will listen to the music, but also a story. For me as a pianist, the Memphis Waltz presents some of the most challenging technical and musical problems of any work I have yet to encounter. But as a listener, the piece is simply, truly joyful virtuosity. Hope you enjoy. Thank you.
That was so exciting. Thank you, Kelly, for that amazing and wonderful performance. And I will have questions in just one moment. But Meg, I'm going to ask you, could we possibly backtrack? I made an error or something happened here. We missed one of our performers, and this is one of our amazing freshman Claire Danzler Award. Meg, is there any way I could have you go back to the
Yes, it'll take me just a minute.
Okay, I'll talk about this for a moment. So friends, all of you out there in our virtual world, I'd like to introduce our final performer, and somehow things got out of order here earlier, and so I apologize on that. But what you're about to hear is one of our most fabulous, amazing freshmen that we have at George Mason University. Her name is Claire Danzler Award. Claire comes to us from Virginia. She is a native of Northern Virginia. And Claire studied in high school with Brian Gantz. She is now with us at Mason, and I could not be more pleased than the fact that Claire is with us. She has been accepted into the Honors College at Mason, which, as many of you know, is designed for those who have, again, distinguished themselves as tremendous scholars. So Claire is very, very devoted to the art of piano performance. Claire comes from a large family. She has 8 siblings. Coming to George Mason University would actually not have been possible without scholarship support. And so for all of you who sometimes wonder, you know, do my gifts matter? Do my gifts really help aspiring young artists? I can say from the bottom of our hearts, from all of our faculty, all of us at Mason who have the privilege of working with these young people, your gifts matter. They make all the difference in the world between a young person being able to pursue their dreams and being able to have just the most awesome education in the world happen here at George Mason with our very distinguished School of Music, with our faculty. And Claire is a living example of someone who has been helped tremendously by your gifts. And so, Claire, would you please introduce the work that you are about to perform?
I would love to. Hello, everyone. It is so good to be here virtually with you all. The piece that I will be performing today is Chopin Etude, Opus 25, number 1. And I'd like to talk a little bit about the nature of an etude. An etude is basically a technical study in its concept. And Chopin took the concept of a technical study and transformed it into something masterful and so beautiful and touching. And he changed them into little 2-minute masterpieces. And this particular etude, although it ranks rather highly on the technical scale, is also one of my favorites musically. It was named by Robert Schumann the Aeolian Harp Etude because it reminded him of the way the wind blows, and it sounded like the wind was playing an instrument. And you can hear this by the way the piece has these lovely flowing melodies, the running passages. It's a rather speedy piece, but it's so, so beautiful. And when I play it, it reminds me of my home in the Shenandoah Mountains where the wind is just constantly blowing. It is so wonderful. So I hope when you hear this piece, it reminds you a little bit of home too.
have a hand for all of our incredible performers today. Wow. So you have to picture, they're all coming out on stage and all bowing, and I will invite you all to join us on September 13 when we will be having a grand piano celebration, and we will be back live again. But September 13 is going to be so incredibly exciting because we will be celebrating our Riva and Sid Dewberry family name of our School of Music. That celebration is happening on September 13 in conjunction with our grand piano celebration. So we're super excited and thrilled. And so make sure you all put that on your calendar, September 13, 3 o'clock in our Center for the Arts at George Mason University. And again, to all of our wonderful OLLI friends, to all of our members, to our OLLI administrative staff, and to all who've made this performance today possible to feature our George Mason University pianists, I want to say a huge thank you. We are so pleased at Mason to be able to present our music sampler series on Tuesday mornings, and many of you join us for that each week, and so I always have the pleasure of getting to chat with you then. If some of you are not aware, it's one of our classes called the Music Sampler, and we run it each semester, but it's on Tuesday mornings, and it features various areas throughout the School of Music. We might have choral or opera or jazz or strings, you name it. We have all areas represented, different presenters each week. It's really fabulous, and so I'm always thrilled to be able to share Mason music with all of you, and we hope that today gave a sense of joy and inspiration to be able to hear these wonderful young artists present solo piano repertoire. And during this time of social isolation and social distancing, what a joy it is to be able to hear these wonderful masterworks and to be able to hear them so beautifully presented by some of our Mason artists. So please, I'd like now to be able to ask any of you that might have questions. You can ask questions directly of any of our presenters or of me or of whomever is represented here. What questions might we have out there from our wonderful audience? May I ask, perhaps, are any of you out there in virtual world wondering how music study continues? Are you wondering how it's actually possible to do remote lessons, etc., during this time? Is that something that might be of interest to hear about?
Actually, Jennifer DeSano has a question for you. Do you want her to ask it?
Please.
Hi, everyone. Thank you all so very much. This has been such an enjoyable way to spend an afternoon listening to you all remotely and watching your performances. I feel so enriched. Thank you all so much for doing this for us. Thank you, Dr. Monson. I have a question. Where are you all? Are you all around the world?
So why don't we start, Minnie? Why don't you start?
I'm now in Fairfax. So I rent a house, so one room a house. So and it's very close to George Mason University. So now I'm quarantined like in the house.
And explain how you had to do with piano. And
yeah, so like before, so I don't have access to the keyboard before the quarantine, so I always practice at school. Also, we have a really beautiful assembly, so I always practice at school. But after the spring break, so since I heard like we're gonna quarantine ourselves like after spring break, so I got very old piano. So this piano is older than my mom, so it's like 60.
That's not so old.
And also one of the keys, so there's some action so inside of the piano, so like it didn't work very well, so my boyfriend helped me to fix it, and now it works pretty well, so I can practice every day. So but sometimes it's hard to practice in a house because I have lots of roommates. I have 4 roommates, so I cannot practice during the daytime, but I can practice after the dinner, so they all out of work, and then I will just practice. So I'll always make, even it's very challenging, but like Dr. Monson said, it always make music happen, and always music is our hope. Like, yeah, always, I sometimes feel really lonely, but music is me, so I feel fine.
So Jennifer, in answer to your question, the students here are mostly right now are living in this area, no matter where they're from, because they're here for school, so they have apartments or whatever here, or dorm rooms, whatever the case may be. But as our as I was expressing, many of our students are indeed international. But right now, most of this group that you were hearing today, their homes are somewhere nearby. Megan, you're down in Richmond, and so you're at your home in Richmond. So does that answer your question a bit?
Yes, thank you very much.
Thank you. Other questions? I wonder,
Are there any other questions?
Would anyone like to talk about studying remotely, how it works? Claire, would you be able to talk what it's like to have, to explain how lessons and classes work with everything now, with the campus shut down, and how indeed we're able to do virtual instruction? Would you like to share a little from your perspective?
Sure, I'd love to. It is very interesting, to say the least, and honestly impressive. One of my classes, vocal accompanying with Professor Walsh and Professor Berger, they created a system where they record the vocal part, and then I play with the recording, record myself playing with the recording, and send that in for a grade. It is very interesting. We do a lot of classes the way we're doing this. Let's see, we have lessons through Zoom. Everything is through Zoom. But all in all, I've just been very impressed with the way the professors and the faculty are handling this. It's still getting the job done, and even though I miss school very much, I really appreciate it for them for being so creative this way.
And explain how Zoom lessons work. Like everyone understands in a general way how piano might work when you're next to each other on the grand pianos working, but explain how it works in a setting like this.
So, best case scenario, internet is fine and everything is good. I send in my I send in my music to Professor Monson so she can see the same copy that I'm using, and I set my computer a little bit of way so that the sound isn't overpowering my computer, and so that she can see my fingers and my feet at the same time. So it's a little bit more distant than a real life lesson, but we definitely get the job done.
Good. And would one of you like to talk about how we do our repertoire classes? Repertoire classes are a part at George Mason University. We have 400 music majors. They all have individual lessons each week in their private instrument, whatever that instrument may be. And they all have what we call repertoire classes, where the group of students in that studio get together with their teacher. The teacher will provide comments, etc. But how does it work in a remote situation like this, where we no longer can be in the same place at the same time? Is there anyone who can share just a little bit about a repertoire class? Megan, could you speak? Is yours on?
Hello?
Yes. Yes.
Hi. Okay.
And invite them to the recital on Saturday.
Yes. So repertoire classes, we do the same thing as with lessons. We use the Zoom meeting and just alternate people. And I've been using a external mic, and I found that to be super helpful, I think, with I'm using my brother's microphone, and it has been helpful. It's called Samson. And I just plug this into my computer, and it picks up sound pretty well. But it is hard, with distortion, because piano is a big instrument, and it can overpower the computer. But
and Megan has a solo recital coming up this Saturday. Would you like to invite your audience to participate if they would? I'd
love you to participate. I'm working on getting like a YouTube link set up. I'm gonna post that soon, and
But it's this Saturday at 4 o'clock, and why don't you share the composers that you are
Right,
working
right. I'll be performing 3 Scarlatti sonatas and first movement of Beethoven's Sonata Opus 109. It's a late sonata that he wrote very late in life. It's more of a romantic. And Etude Opus 25, number.
You're cutting out. You're cutting out. Okay, but she has a wonderful program planned for this Saturday, 4 o'clock. It will be live streamed. And if you go to the Mason website, you'll see how you could log in and watch that live stream. If you wish, it'll be awesome. So, and she will be presenting that from her home in Richmond on the piano that you're hearing right now. So we hope and pray all the technology works. That's always,
That's right.
We're a little bit dependent on that, but the music shall continue, and that is what we know to be true. The music continues. So again, are there any last questions here from our audience? Anything that anyone is wishing to find out from our amazing performers? If not, once again, I want to give a huge shout out to Meg, our technical site director. Can we please thank Meg for all of her help today and expertise? Thank you, Meg. You're the best. Also, I want to thank Marina, our wonderful host. Thank you for inviting us to perform on your beautiful series, Meet the Artists, through the Ali Reston. We thank you, Marina, for inviting us. Thank you. I think she's muted. Thank you. And to you, our Ali audience, and our George Mason University friends, and our students, our colleagues, and to all of our special friends of music, folks, to everyone who has decided to join us today. We thank you. And once again, we ask for all, let the music continue. And we shall see you again very soon. Thank you so much.